Hey guys, it's Ben here at Strength Factory. Welcome to Factory Knowledge. And in this episode, first of all, I'm going to talk to you about fat burning and this idea of fat burning exercise, and if you're trying to lose some body fat, whether you should go for high intensity, shorter bursts or long, steady fat burning exercise. So first of all, why? I think it's fairly obvious, but number one, health, I think, has got to be the most important one. Carrying excess body fat is bad for your health, and we would all be better off if we carried less, pretty much, up to a certain point. Secondly, from a performance point of view, is unless you're a sumo wrestler, a lot of sports, especially sports I work with, power to weight is really important. So whether you're on a mountain bike, whether you're running up hills and mountains, or even if you're riding motocross, carrying extra body fat that you then have to use your muscles and your energy to carry that around, it's just inefficient, and so you're getting less output for your effort, basically. And so being leaner whilst maintaining strength and power and fitness is going to increase the performance for most of you watching this. So the reason I'm making this is I was reading some comments, like forum kind of things, which is always a dangerous place to be, I know, and it was talking about fat burning and what is fat burning exercise. And the first thing that you need to understand is that to lose weight, okay, whether it's body fat or muscle or whatever it is, you need to end up in a calorie deficit, okay? So without that, you're not losing weight. A calorie deficit is where over a period of time you have burnt more calories than you have consumed. So on one day you may be in a deficit, but if on the rest of the week you are in excess, you've eaten too many calories, then at the end of the week you're not in a deficit, well then you're not going to lose any weight, you may be putting it on. So to actually lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit for a consistent and prolonged period of time. Some people do very well with short, intense, high deficit periods, so 2 or 3 weeks of real hard, low calories. Just bear in mind that that's going to really affect your performance, potentially your mood and things like that whilst you do that. But if you get where you want to be at the end of it and you can do it in a healthy way, then that's fine. Some people prefer a lots more moderate, long-term approach, losing body fat over a period of weeks and months with a smaller deficit that's harder to live with, it's easier to live with day to day. And both are fine. It's just about finding the right way that works for you, for your personality type. If you need to perform as well, then heavy calorie deficits are really going to jeopardize that, and so that may not be the one for you. So fat burning exercise is something you hear people talk about a lot. Yeah, I'm doing a fat burning workout. Now, it's a bit of semantics, and 6 one, half a dozen the other. But here's how it is basically. There's effectively 2 types of training that we're talking about here when we talk about fat burning. And the first would be a steady, longer, low intensity aerobic training session, like brisk walking, slow running, slow cycling, yoga, maybe a slow paced circuit at the gym, things like that. And that sort of activity level, working at low intensity, so zone 2 if you're working in heart rate or power zones, when you're doing that training, a higher proportion of the energy you use is going to be from fat. And the more of that training you do, especially if it's in conjunction with maybe fasting or a low carbohydrate diet, the more of that you do, the better fat adapted you'll become, and the more fat you will use as fuel during that session. So that sounds pretty ideal. It's like, well, I'm doing the exercise and I'm specifically burning fat, I'm not burning anything else, and that is great. And you can also get through a lot of calories during your training session, but at the end of the session you've burnt nowhere near as many total calories as if you'd been doing some way more intense training, even in half of that time. you may have just been able to burn a lot more calories. So the other end of the spectrum then is what I just mentioned, would be maybe some high intensity interval training, some more intense weight training, sprints, or even just, faster running, faster riding, zone 3, zone 4, sometimes zone 5, whatever it is you're doing, where your calorie burn for a given period of time is going to be a lot higher, as much as double sometimes. And so if you do an hour of low intensity, an hour of high intensity, potentially you've burnt twice as many calories there, and ultimately calories are king when it comes to fat loss. So you think then, well, surely if I want to lose body weight, all I need to do is do that high intensity stuff, and for some people that is fine. So I just want to talk you through though which one is better, or if there is such a thing as better, because the reality is that one isn't better than the other. They're both just different. And for most people, a bit of both is going to be a really sustainable and achievable way to achieve your fat loss goals, in conjunction with sensible eating, keeping track of your calories, maybe reducing your calories and so on. So the low intensity work that I talked about, the great thing about that is that it is easy to recover from. You could do it pretty much every day of the week for a fairly prolonged period of time, and it's not going to do you in, basically. It's not going to be emotionally, physically, mentally very taxing, and you can even do an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, and you can easily rack up plenty of calories there. The other good thing about it is that as you become fat adapted and as you do this type of training, is that actually it doesn't tend to trigger your appetite too badly. So you don't come back absolutely wiped out and then just go mental and like stuffing your face at the garage on the way home with chocky bars and stuff like that, or you don't feel you have to have like 2 bowls of pasta in the evening to fill up, because then you'd end up you wouldn't be reaching your deficit anyway. So that's a really positive thing about that low intensity training. At the other end of the spectrum, the high intensity training is the opposite. So it's highly intense, so really you can't be doing that every day, and if you're not so fit anyway, then you might only be able to do that once or twice a week realistically with any intensity. Otherwise you're risking getting a bit burnt out, getting ill, getting injured and things like that. And then the other thing is that with that high intensity training is that because you're burning a lot more sugar effectively to fuel that workout, you're burning carbohydrate from your body, is that after those intense sessions your appetite can go through the roof. And we've all been on those really intense rides or training sessions, and afterwards you feel like you just can't eat enough, and so you can end up having done loads of hard work, which is great. It can be really positive for your fitness, for your performance, but if fat loss is one of your goals, then if you then stuff your face afterwards because your appetite's gone insane, then you're not any closer to that fat loss goal. So which is better? Neither's better. It's down to you. It's down to the time you have available, the kit and equipment, the knowledge, experience you have available. I would say that the fitter you are and the more experience you have, the more you can work in that high intensity zone to really, push your performance and to burn a lot of calories. If you are newer to structured training, you're maybe a bit overweight, you don't have that much experience, then I would suggest you're probably better off doing more of the lower intensity zone 2 work, and then maybe just do a little bit of high intensity work once a week, or maybe even once a fortnight, or twice every 3 weeks or something like that, as a really sustainable way to be consistent over the long period of time. Because as you already know, if you listen to any of my videos, you know that for me, for Ben, for the Strength Factory, consistency is key. So hopefully that's really clear. But if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'd love it if you hit subscribe. I'm creeping up there now. I think I'm on Factory Knowledge number 11, and I'm going to keep pushing these out every week. And let me know what you want to know about. Let me know how it's going. Give me the feedback, even if it's a little bit mean, okay? And I'll do my best to do the best job and to give you lots of really useful and usable training knowledge. Thanks very much.